好，我用英文讲，因为我知道有些早上国外的朋友，他们知道我要讲话，这边赶回来。下午因为中文他们不在 ，so I will use English because I know some of my friends from abroad coming back to listen to my talk. So actually, it's not talk; it's a thanks, right? Thank you for this very special. Well, first of all, I must thank the organizing committee. This committee was chaired by Ban Shi, that most of them are my very close friends, students, colleagues. Actually, they started more than a year ago. Yeah, they knew that, well, my age is coming. So they organized this. They talk about this for more than a year. And they keep me a secret. I don't know what's the program. Okay. And I heard that tonight there will be a book. But I don't know who wrote it. I don't know the content. They just want to give me a surprise. So very heartwarming. So, well, my most sincere gratitude to the opening speeches given by the Honorable Vice President of our country, Dr. Chen Jianren, the Director of Control Yuan, Dr. Zhang Boya, President of Academia Sinica, Dr. Liao Junzhi, and my old friends, distinguished academician, Dr. Xu Chen. My deep appreciations to the three distinguished session monitors, Dr. Yang Banci, my president of NHRI, Dr. Liang Gengyi, and my old friend who started NHRI together with me, Dr. Zhang Zhongming, and all the outstanding speakers. All the talks are wonderful. Right? This morning was all the science, and this afternoon all the activities I've been doing or have been doing over the last 30 years in Taiwan. All my mentors and colleagues and students who are here, all dear friends from universities and hospitals, and all my beloved family members. They're sitting there. They flew over from the US. Well, special thanks to all my dear colleagues who dedicated efforts and hard works over the last many months, actually. They are volunteers. They don't use their working hours. They even work in the evenings or weekends. And that have made this a very special day. Okay, this moment, people said, well, you should say something about your career. So, this is a reflection of my scientific career of biomedical translation, research, and health policy promotion over the last 60 years. I'm 80. I came back for 30 years. Wow. I started my research about 20 years old, so it's about 6. Actually, I started my interest in medical research very early. As a medical student, I think somebody mentioned that this morning. I remember it was the third year of my medical students. And one summer, I accidentally stumbled into an article. Everybody read about the double helix of DNA written but it wasn't quick. And this was 3 years before they got Nobel Prize. I got a shock. I thought, wow, this is the most fascinating thing I've ever been. And I thought about that every day. And then I dreamed of something I would like to do, and that's research. Nobody is doing that in Taiwan at that time. I went to a lab, I started something. And I was crazy. I spent most of my time. As a medical student, medical students are very busy. They study all the time, but I spend most of my time in the lab. You know why? Because I was crazy. I thought that I was the first one, if not the very first one, start DNA research in Taiwan. I don't know whether it's true or not, but very few people. So I was so excited. The experiment I did was very simple. I grew bacteria, irradiated with cobalt-60 used for the treatment of patient, and take it back and measure DNA synthesis. That's all. But as a result, since I spent so much time, I published a paper. This one. Yeah, I published a paper upon graduation. And that experience has a tremendous impact on the decision of my later life. So after graduation, I went to US. I pursued my PhD in biochemistry at Case Western Reserve University. This is my thesis advisor, Dr. David Goldthwait, who introduced me into molecular biology. Actually, at that time, there's no words as molecular biology. They call it DNA crabs. Yeah, but Arthur Kornberg just discovered DNA polymerase 7 years ago. And so everyone's looking for RNA polymerase, and so my advisor too. So he just said, "Ken, you continue." Okay. Well, make the long story short, this is my PhD thesis. Study with RNA polymerase. I spent about half a year purifying RNA polymerase from E. coli. I divided this into 4 steps. The binding step, initiation, elongation, termination. This 4-step gene transcription mechanism, even now, has still been described in the textbook of biochemistry and molecular biology. You can read that in the textbook. And that's my PhD thesis. I published in 1969. Well, so I graduated in 3 years. The original plan was to come back to Taiwan after the degree, become a professor in National Taiwan University or somewhere, or practice medicine as my family wish. But it was Dr. Goldthwait persuaded me to stay. He said, "What you did is important. You stay, and if you go back, everything will be wasted. Stay here." And I still remember he used the words, rule. He said, "You have a brilliant career in the US, true or not." But he just tried to push me to stay there. Then he asked me, "Well, what do I do after that?" He's very good. He said, "Think what is most exciting for you. I'll do that, and I will try to locate a good postdoc position for you." Very few advisors will do that. He did that. Well, at that time, what in my mind was this, the molecular detail of gene transcription. So I thought about that. But even dream of it. But one night I wake up, I knew I cannot do it. Why? Simple. I promise to synthesize RNA about over 1,000 nucleotides in a second. So you put everything in test tube, you shake it, everything's over. You see nothing about molecular detail. So I knew I need a new technique. And that's why I get into biophysics. All right, I did my first postdoc at Cornell with Gordon Hannes, studying rapid kinetic studies of enzyme mechanisms using a technique called stop flow and temperature jump. I didn't know what's that before I went, and I picked it up. Well, I picked up very rapidly. In 3 months of writing paper. But I was disappointed. You know why? Because I want to know this molecular detail of gene transcription and how the molecule moves from where to where. Just kinetic will not tell you that. Right? It just gives you a rate. I need structural information. Not only structural information, dynamic structure information. So after about a year, I published some paper, I left. I went to my second postdoc at Yale with Rubens Dreyer to learn new things he developed called nanosecond fluorescence spectroscopy. Everyone knows about energy transfer, right? You can measure distance. And from fluorescence rotate, depolarization, you can measure size and shape of molecule. And this is dynamic. So you can see how the distance change and molecule change. I spent about eight months there. I published one paper, I worked on vision. In 1972, I started my own laboratory at Albert Einstein College of Medicine. Actually, my postdoc advisors is very nice to me. They looked job for me, and I have 3 offers. One at Harvard, one at Princeton, and one at Albert Einstein College of Medicine. I went to Einstein and gave up Harvard and Princeton. People say you are crazy. The reason is very simple, because of this person. Jerry Hurwitz. He's not a Nobel laureate, but he trained 2 Nobel laureates. One of them is, well, he just trained, in his lab, produced 2 Nobel laureates. David Baltimore is one of them. So I loved to, he was the world authority on transcription. I would love to be next to him. But after 6 months, he shifted his field. But I still had a joint group meeting with him for 8 years. I learned a lot from him. He's very unique people. Last year, he was 93 years. He was in New York. I called him up. He said, "Can you come to see me? I just get my grant." And I went to see him. He still do experiment with his own hand. 93 years old. Well, my previous 2 postdocs. Rubens Dreyer is a member of Academy. He just got the U.S. Presidential Science Award. Gordon Hannes is also National Academy of Science member. He was Dean of School of Medicine at Duke. They're all retired. All right, so I studied Einstein. I want to use 2 new techniques, rapid kinetics and nanosecond fluorescence spectroscopy, to study molecular mechanism of gene transcription. I wrote a grant, I sent to NIH. I get the highest rating, 1.0. I was very happy. Well, I have a problem. Big problem. I don't have the machine. I could do fast kinetic at Cornell and nanosecond fluorescence spectroscopy at Yale. But at Einstein, I have to combine both. I don't have a machine. It's not available. I got stuck. What I do? Nothing can stop me. I build it myself. It took me a year and a half. Start from scratch, one by one. Year and a half, I built this machine. And this is called a combined stock flow temperature jump apparatus with nanosecond fluorescence spectrometer. This is the very first one and the only one in the world. Where's now? This at the basement of NHRI. I took it back. Well, I don't have time to go to detail. All right, with this machine, I elucidated all these details. For example, I find how electrons can find the promoter by sliding. This morning, Dr. Nobuo Shimamoto talked about that. And electrons alone cannot do it. It requires a transcription factor for sigma. Now we have thousands of transcription factors. Sigma is a very fast one. Then it has to unwind the DNA because it's used only one strand as a template. And so it can pick up the right nucleotide to form the first phosphotized bond. Then he's moved along the DNA to copy subsequent nucleotide base sequence with concomitant elongation of RNA chains. And it knows where to start because the DNA structure typically is a hairpin. And it can release. All right, when RNA start transcription, sigma be released from so-called sigma cycle. This morning, there's a talk about that. And for termination, it also requires termination factor control. Well, I don't have time to go into all this detail, but I published a series of papers, and that's new. Nobody was doing this. So instantaneously, I become famous. Many universities wanted me, but I could not move. You never move when things are going well, right? Einstein, in order to keep me, I was promoted to associate professor in 1 year, full professor in 3 years. I should be very happy, right? Indeed, I was very happy, but in the back of my mind, I was regretted, not regretted, but I was not happy. Simply because I came from medical school. I wanted to work on human being. But to do this type of thing, I need a large quantity of protein and gene. I could get it only from bacteria. So, well, I was happy, but I was not happy. In the 70s, genetic engineering emerged. I saw the light. I saw that there's a possibility I could do that. You know what I did? I closed my lab completely. Like Einstein. I took a year sabbatical, I went to Pasteur. I spent a year at Pasteur. I was in the laboratory of Moshe Yanis he's also a French academician, and he's editor EMBO. I learned how to do eukaryotic studies. I start from culturing human cells. But most importantly, I developed at that time shuttle vectors. It's a plasmid circular DNA, and with genetic engineering, I could put human gene in here, a promoter, original replication, and antibiotics there for selection. I put this in bacteria. I grow the bacteria in large, 500 liters. I can purify large quantity of human genes and human proteins. So I could do eukaryotic gene transcription using my method. Well, it was that year, somebody visited me. Turned out he's a dean of medicine from Stony Brook. At that time, Rockefeller was the governor of New York. He put in a lot of money. He wanted to make Stony Brook the Berkeley of the East. That's how he called it. So they recruit a lot of people. He invited me to Stony Brook, give a seminar. It turned out that they want to recruit me. Well, they gave me some offers I could not refuse. A chair professorship, a very wide and nice summer corridors, a nice laboratory in a very unique, strange building, like in the space. And, well, not mentioning high salary. This morning, somebody mentioned my grant, $1,000 US. You know how much they gave me at that time? $10 million for endowment. How could I say no, right? And Stony Brook is a good university, nice to raise kids. So I moved there. All right, so I carry out eukaryotic gene transcription, and this, well, actually, it's very similar. It's just more complicated. I just show you this. I don't have to explain it. Just give a highlight that at the time I discovered zinc fingers. Okay, just show you what I finger. Well, zinc finger is just, for those who don't know, it's just unique protein structures containing zinc. It plays some important biological functions like DNA protein interactions or some other biological functions like people can use as a target to cure cancer. I don't know. Okay, so now we are the first one to discover it. Now it's more than 1,000 zinc finger structures. Okay, well, I don't get into that. So, everything going well. I thought I would retire. At that time, I met Shu Chair, and he came to our place. We had a nice place. I thought I'd retire there. But life is unexpected. Full in expectation. In 1984, I was elected as an academician in Academia Sinica. That changed my life. Next year, 4 or 5 senior academicians come to visit me at Stony Brook and told me that Taiwan is rich because of economical miracles, and 20th century is the century of life science. So Academia Sinica want to build 2 new institutes, Institute of Molecular Biology and Institute of Biomedical Sciences. Originally, they wanted to recruit me to become director of IMB. Of course, I cannot do that. It's empty. Now everything's going on very well. How can I give this and go there, right? Besides, I had kids in high school, in college. I said, no. I said, well, yes, that's good. Why you guys don't go? Everybody don't go. So finally, we talked a long time. We tried to help. We come with one solution. We set up a relay system. Everyone take a year sabbatical. And hopefully, after 4 or 5 years, the institute will develop such a degree that we could recruit somebody we hope to see. Okay, so that seems to be not the best, but the only solution. So I was assigned to go to IMB in 1988. Shu Chen mentioned this later because of medical background. I was drafted or changed from IMB to IBMS. So we went to IBMS in 1988. It was empty, right? He went along, we followed. There were only 2 of us. What can we do? So when I talked to him, he said, "Ken, you stay here and recruit." Right? So by the time I went there, we have about 30 people. It was very exciting years. You agree, right? It's very exciting years. We introduced new research cultures. We introduced new research systems. We are very happy that we can do something. And people in Taiwan are happy too. But time flies. Pretty soon, my year's up, I have to come back. These 30 people went to see Wu Dayu, the president. Said, well, you can go, we all go. And everybody asked me, can you just stay? The executive told me that you stay. Okay. And in 3 years, I'll come back to accompany you. With all this. So, I have to make a decision. My decision is stay. Well, I thought that people say, oh, you sacrifice. It's my choice. I thought that, of course, there are a lot of reasons, parents, and this and that. I thought that in one's life, if only for my own science, I stay in the US. If I come back, I help to promote the biomedical science in Taiwan. And that's another contribution, right? In one's life, it's your choice. What's your contribution? Yeah, you can get a little bit wide. That's just, if I could do some help to promote biomedical science in Taiwan, I thought that that's a contribution to one's life too. I did not go back. I took a sabbatical year, I just stayed. Okay? All right. In 5 years, IBM has become the largest and best research institute in academia Senegal. Of course, not alone. Many people's contribution. We have active research programs, and as mentioned in the morning, IBMS reaching international standard by scientific reviews. But I just mentioned, I was coming back to help Taiwan to promote science. Just one institute or 2 is not enough. So many of us discuss this, right? We need a Taiwanese. We need some integration. And we need some structure, national institute like NIH, to promote the science. So we discussed this in the academic meeting, and also had a chance to give a talk at presidential office. At that time, I called it NHRI, National Health Research Institute, 国家卫生研究院. What I was surprised is that the government, particularly the president, we received very well. He just concluded and said, oh, this is what we should do. About a month later, I saw a newspaper. They established a preparatory office 筹备处 they even didn't inform me, and this was under 卫生署. So I went to ask Dr. Zhang Boyan, she was here this morning. I said, well, you just established a preparatory office. It's the same as I taught in 总统. He said, it's the same one. I said, why you didn't tell me? Oh, he said, it's simple. He immediately called people here in and give me an appointment letter, appoint me as a director of preparatory office. Very efficient. That's what happened. Well, I thought that, oh, yeah, I just help. And so I thought that it would take maybe a year. Originally, that's just planned, it would take a year. It took us 6 years. It's not that easy for this Congress to pass. Originally, I love science. I thought that, oh, I just help. I would like to go back to IBMS to do research. They did start a search committee for the president of NHRI for 6 months. They didn't find a suitable one. Maybe you are the search committee chair, I don't remember. All right. It was at the last month. I talked to, one day I was informed by grievance that the government asked me to become the president of NHI starting January 1st, 1996. It's about 2 weeks ahead. So I just left IBM suddenly. 他们没有欢送我。They never had a party to say goodbye to me. And that's another, but there's an advantage. My lab was kept there for many years because I just suddenly leave. And he just leave, they didn't treat anything. All right. That's what happened. All right. All right, this is IBMS. I served there for 10 years as a founding president and to carry out a mission to support scientific communities, to lead mission-oriented research, to help biotechnical development, and to promote health policy research. Not audit. My term ended at I say a few words about research. After I come back, I have to do some research, right? Because if I don't, I cannot be out of date. If I'm out of date, I have to make some scientific policy decisions. It will skew too. So we keep a small lab called presidential lab. Dongming was one of those too. We had a small group. What I did? Well, because I consider, as a director of IBMS and as a president of NHRI, I felt obliged that my research must be related to health of people in Taiwan. So I chose lung cancer. Why cancer? It's the #1 killer. Why lung cancer? As you mentioned, is the highest mortality. And we also focus on metastasis because 70% of lung cancer death is due to metastasis. Alright, so make a bronze injury, develop methods and things like that. Banks mentioned that. So then to identify metastatic genes, and he's a clinician, and then we apply that to patients for biomarker for early detection or prognosis or something like that. That's what we did here in Taiwan. We also organized a national research program for lung cancer. together, right? With what? With about 30 PIs, 10 research organizations. It was considered to be one of the best. Well, my term is up 10 years. Okay, so I stepped down as the president of NHRI, and I also resigned all my administrative positions, including like chairman of the board of Taipei Medical School or everything. Oh. Return to my first love, scientific research. I just mentioned that I have a lab in IBMS, right? I still continue my lung cancer research. And Yan Huang just mentioned that she invited me to Yangming to coordinate stem cell research. What I do now, we still work with lung cancer, particularly on lung cancer stem cells, because lung cancer cells were considered to be related to metastasis or drug resistance, which is the most serious clinical problems. About stem cells, no, it's not. A gene and cell therapy for acute and chronic lung injuries, particularly COPD. We have very good method now. And COPD is important because it is considered number 3 killer in the world. I didn't know that now we are doing that. Well, but I started biophysicist. Now I started a complete new approach to cancer called audio therapy for cancer. After so many years of working on cancer, I got frustrated. Well, we developed a drug, we cure, increased 2 months of 5-year survival. But wow, people are very bad. I thought, what do we do? Now there are 1 million people working on cancer for so many years. But how much have we been advanced? At age of 80, I started to think about this. So I'm looking for something new. Well, today I don't have time to tell. There is something new. I tried. It's with very low radiation and very low drug, cause very little side effect that will stop self-dividing. That's something like that. Okay, no, we just started about a year. I'm always thinking about something new, something fancy. To amuse myself, of course. Okay, this is today. About 2 or 3 years, 3 years ago, I was drafted by the government when the Ministry of Health and Welfare established. Probably suggested zoning, right? I was drafted to chair the whole NHR forum. This is a copy of the Institute of Medicine forum. The core mission of NHR forum is to identify the urgent health issue of Taiwan and to propose evidence-based solution of health problems to policymakers with consensus among all stakeholders. And this was supported by NHRI. And we are doing this and with all the medical community. Well, what's different from what we do now and before is that in addition to experts have evidence-based policy. We invite all the stakeholders to have a consensus. And then we do public educations. And this would be more effective. So the government will be more happy because 这种人民有感的政策。In the past 3-4 years, we suggest about 16, about half been implemented. So they're quite happy. Okay, that's what I've been doing in some of the publications. Okay, look at my career. Nowadays, you all know that if you have a health problem, you have to solve multidisciplinary. There's no single discipline can solve any health problem. For me, for example, I was a medical student. I start from biochemistry to biophysics to molecular biology, cell biology, to cancer research, to translation research, to health problem policy promotion. Now everything has to go to multidiscipline. And they are experts in every field to work together. For me, the unique thing in my career is that I went through all this myself every step. I consider this lucky. I learned a lot. That's the difference. If I start again, I don't have to do that. Now there are so many experts. So you have to learn how to invite people to work together. But I just happened to went through all this. Okay, that's my career. The unique thing about career, if I have a reflection, that recall my career. Well, what next? As Song Wei-Shin said, planting seeds for the future. That's the rest, right? 80, maybe if I can live to 120 years more, maybe less, we can expect. Well, I don't have to say much about this because Song Wei-Shin just introduced this. I was very active in this in the last 18 years. I've been very active in the science camp. He introduced this. All I can say is that this camp has trained about 100 college students every year and inspired many of them into the scientific research for the last 18 years. And I feel good about this. One thing I didn't mention, I mentioned to you, I was benefited from early start in research as a medical student. It is utmost important for physicians to do research for the progress of science. It is also essential for physicians to carry out this research as early as possible, because when you're early, you have strong driving force and you're creative. Unfortunately, in Taiwan, this is very difficult. All PhD are taken after the clinical training. They're older, they're family, they have financial burdens. It's hard. It's hard for them. Okay, so in the past about 12 years, I donate about $2 million USD a year to form a foundation of health sciences and carry out a summer research program for medical students. And this program provides fellowship for about 30 students to perform 3 months lab research in the summer over the last 12 years. The outstanding performance of the medical students has successfully inspired them to enter research career either as a medical researcher, well, or even their clinician. And I must thank Jackie and Butch. They really helped a lot, and they all this for me in the last more than 10 years. They did a lot. And of course, a lot of other people helped too. And if you see those students, the performance, you feel worth it. And every year we have competition, and we invite the deans of the president of each school to come, and they're happy about that. And that's what I've been involved. Well, I cannot tell too much. So, after all, I look back at 80, I said, well, I consider I have a happy and long career. And I cannot do this alone. I owe this to all my mentors for teaching and inspiration, students for performing the excellent research, excellent work, and my colleagues for support and cooperation. I think I must stop here. Thank you very much. I love you all.